Okay, hi everybody. I just wanted to give you a brief little explanation of my process for starting the Matrix project. So, what I've got is a bunch of paintings that I recently completed. This was one that was kind of my inspiration, so it's some hummingbirds. This was my practice line drawing that I did for you, but I ended up, even though it was just a practice, I ended up really liking it. So obviously what I did is I did a careful job and I just cut it out because I really enjoyed the shape of it. So I think I'm going to use this because it's kind of a little more edgy and more interesting. And then I just did this one. So I have another little hummingbird here. And then I also did this one, which is just purely line. I am probably going to go in with just some black and white wash. So I am going to have you all choose a color scheme or a color scheme idea. My color scheme idea is going to be going from achromatic, which is this, it's just black and white for the most part, and then full spectrum. So my idea is the idea of hummingbirds kind of going into, finding their coloring, almost like this one is going to be envious of all the other ones and kind of like cross this barrier kind of thing. And since these two are from the same source, I'm somehow going to create a sense of rhythm and pattern to create this whole piece. I am going to, because I want to cut this one out, but there's no defined line on it. I am going to go back in, and I don't want to just cut these little hummingbirds out. And I would like you all to think about that is when you go about cutting something out, try not to cut something out that is super complicated, that's going to end up with like a little pointy thing that you're going to end up cutting off, or it being, sorry, it stalled out. It being really difficult to paste down. So for instance, when I cut this out, I think I'm going to add some kind of like a design outline. And what I mean by that is, for instance, I'm going to just go ahead and draw with this one. So there's this kind of interesting scribbly little line that I'm going to kind of follow, and it's almost like a organic shape, or almost like a cloud in a way. So as you can see, I'm just kind of creating this like scribbly outline kind of thing around here. If you would prefer, for instance, if you want to kind of go with a repetition of, say, circles and cut out circles, or squares, or something more of a simple shape, feel free. I have a tendency to really like scribbly marks. So as you can see, I now have a scribbly outline. So I am going to go in with my very fancy cutter scissors from my mom, actually, and cut this out. And then I think I'm going to end up applying this onto this black background. This black paper is available as well as this white watercolor paper, so you are welcome to use either one or both. For instance, what I may end up doing is kind of doing this like half and half type thing and make a transition between the black and the white, going from like positive to negative. So I'm not sure yet. I'm still playing around. So I'm literally playing around with just, the pieces of my matrix that I have. But the one thing I do want you to think about is I want you to think about a color scheme. And I also want you to think about repetition and pattern and the shapes of what you're going to use as kind of a thematic thing. So I want you to kind of think of, the shape of whatever the object is that you're going to be repeating. I also want you to think about repetition, and I also want you to think about the color scheme. How is the color scheme going to work? And I don't recommend using more than 2. And if you are going to use 2, have it transition. So for instance, if you want to use the same as I'm using, where you're going achromatic and then some kind of a color scheme, that will work well. I think any of the other color schemes, such as complementary, like you could do a half and half thing with complementary. You could use analogous, where you can go through different analogous color schemes, that sort of thing. So I would like you to think about that as you're starting to compose your piece. All right, so that is all I have. Good luck. I will see you in class.